the ninth parak. Haroya makam shenasu by nisim. If a person sees a place where miracles, we're on page 54a. A person who sees, if you see a place, shenasu by nisim li Yisrael, that miracles happen to the Yidden, Omer, he says, Baruch she'asa nisim laviseinu, b'makom hazeh, you say a bracha. Blessed is Hashem who made miracles to our forefathers in this place. Makom shenekra mimenu avodas kochavim, a place where idols were removed. Omer, you say, Baruch she'akar akom me'artzenu, blessed is he who removed idol worship or idols from our land. Now, it's brought down, according to one opinion, that this is only applicable in Eretz Yisrael, but there are others that say even in Chutz La'aretz, but you wouldn't say May Artseinu, you would say May Hamakim Hazeh. Now, there is also two opinions. Is this a real bracha? Are you supposed to say Hashem? In other words, the Mishnah doesn't say Hashem's name here. It just says Baruch she'asa nisim. It just says Baruch she'asa nisim. So there's an opinion of the Raavad that says that a bracha of Shabbat, these are blessings of praise to Hashem. The blessings of praise, according to the Raavad, you don't say Hashem's name. You the fact that you see it sort of in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says Baruch she'asa nisim. It doesn't say Hashem's name. It doesn't say Baruch ato Hashem or Baruch ato. It just says Baruch and she'asa nisim. And the Raavad holds that because it's not a blessing of praise, of benefit, or blessing of a mitzvah, it's only a blessing of praise. You don't say Hashem's name. But the common view is that you do say Hashem's name, and the Mishnah was just leaving out extra details that weren't necessary. And in fact, Tosfos over here brings a Pirush, Rabbeinu Shmaya, that all these brachas, tzrichos hazkaras Hashem u'malchus, they need Hashem's name. And you have to say Baruch Ad Hashem Elokeinu Melech Ha'olam. In Rabbeinu Shimshon Mikutzi says that because the Ri used to say a bracha, Shekoichai Ugvarasai Malei Olam, he would say that on Barakim, which is thunder, and the Ri brings that if it doesn't have they bring you Yushalmi that says that if a bracha doesn't have Hashem's name, it's not a real bracha. Now, they also mention that the brachas here, you need to only, these brachas are only said once every 30 days. And just like when you see the Yam HaGadol, you only say that bracha once every 30 days. You don't say that every day that you see it. It has to be leprakim, we'll soon see. Al-Hazikin, and the Gemara will explain what zikin is. Vial has voice, and on earthquake, vial har re'amim, and on re'amim, which we'll see it. It means thunder. Val haruchais, and on ruchais, on winds that are very strong. Vial habrakim, and on brakim, which would be lightning. Actually, I should have translated that in the Tosfos over here, brakim, that the Baruch, I think I said thunder, but brakim means lightning. And on lightning, you say Baruch shekoisei barasei malei olam. Ala harim v'al hagva'os. What is the bracha? That his strength and power fill the world. Now, on mountains and on hills. Now, we're not talking about regular mountains and hills. We're talking about very strong mountains and hills, very strong, very big mountains and hills that are, world renowned. These, you would say, a special bracha, Ba'al hayamim, and on rivers, Ba'al hanaharos, on seas, yamim is seas, Ba'al naharos, on rivers, Ba'al midbaros, and on deserts, Omer Baruch Oisei Bereshis, you would say, blessed is Hashem who created the creation.
Made creation.
Baruch Oisei Bereshis, who made the creation. Thank you. And Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says, if you see the big sea, Omer, you say, Baruch Sha'asas Hayam HaGadol, blessed is he who made the Yam HaGadol, the big sea. Bizman Sherayehu Leprakim, when you see it at intervals of not every day. You don't say it every day. You would say it on intervals. Now, we mentioned at length about this bracha of the Yam Hagadol, the big sea, and the understanding of this bracha seems to be a big argument what it refers to, because one opinion is based on yesterday's Chumash. What did we say? The Ad Hayom Hagadol Nahar Pras, right? In yesterday's Chumash, we had what was in the laning today? Ad Nahar Hagadol Nahar Pras, right? That's this week's parsha. So what's the Nahar Hagadol? That's the Mediterranean Sea. But what's the term in the pasuk? Let me read it. Go and turn to Mountain Moiri, Balkol Shteno, Barava, Bahar, Bashmila, Banegam, Chayim, Eretz Haknani, the Halvanaim, go to the land of the Canaanite, the Halavanaim, the Levanaim, which means Eretz Yisrael, means you shall add Nahar HaGadol to the Nahar HaGadol all the way to the west, to the Nahar HaGadol, the big river, Nahar Pras. So some say that when the Mishnah refers to, when the Mishnah mentions here Yam HaGadol, it's referring to that, what the Torah calls Gadol, and it's referring to the Mediterranean Sea, you say this bracha. And but others others argue and say it refers to the Atlantic, the big sea, the Yam HaGadol. Because of this, it's a big question of what bracha to make. And we heard from David that at least he was told from, I guess, Rabbanim, that the bracha should be on the Atlantic, also Oisa Maisa Bereshis. And there are other opinions that say that you should say Sha'asas Yam HaGadol. In fact, the Mishnah Brura implies that should be the bracha Sha'asas Yam HaGadol, but obviously it's not clear at all. Some say you should do a mixture of both. Oisa Maisa Bereshis Sha'asas Yam HaGadol, and that's brought by the Minchas Yitzchok, one of the great scholars in Eretz Yisrael, previous generation. He held you should say both. So there are different opinions as to how to get around this problem. If you see the Mediterranean, or if you say it when you see the Mediterranean, or do you say it when you see the Atlantic? And can you say it on the Pacific, because the Pacific and the Atlantic connect? And so these are questions.
The Mediterranean also connects.
Right. Okay.
The Gibraltar. So.
Yes, Ezra.
I can't. My question is, with respect to these two, you said the Minchat, who said to combine them. So my question is, can you? I mean,
the reason you combine it, not
two separate brachot.
Well, let me just interrupt for 1 second.
What's written in the Gemara.
Yeah. No, let me explain that. Why would you connect them? You can't just make your own brachas, but there is a way of saying a bracha and adding on at the end with other words that might be the correct bracha. So you have in mind that if the correct bracha is Sha'asa Yam HaGadol, that's the correct bracha. So what you're actually having in mind is that if the correct bracha is the second half of my statement, I'm correcting myself from what I said, Oisa Maisa Bereshis, and I'm correcting it and saying Sha'asa Yam HaGadol. Now, if this is not the correct thing to say, then I'm just saying the Oisa Maisa Bereshis, and I'm just saying some words after. So you have a way of fulfilling a questionable bracha because you're saying both in the same moment. You're fulfilling both. And if the first words were not the correct words, you corrected it with the correction right afterwards. So that would be the logic behind it. Now there is also, I should also mention that the Bir Halacha brings down that a person who says Oisa Maisa Bereshis, it's almost like saying Shahakol on other foods that are not Shahakol. That Oisa Maisa Bereshis is a general bracha. And because it's a general bracha, it would exempt you. For not missing out in the specific bracha. So that would be why maybe David was told to say Oisa Maisa Bereshis, because by saying that bracha, it should be considered like a, at least b'di'evet, you fulfilled your obligation. It's like a generic bracha that covers other things. So that would be the reason to say Oisa Ma'aser Bereishis. What do you call it?
A catch-all.
A catch-all. Okay, yes.
Can we
had a
do a
question.
can we do a catch-all for the bracha al nisim, because there's still nisim done today to us?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we say lavotenu velanu?
So you wouldn't do Lavaseinu, but you would say a bracha. Again, it's further on. You'll learn about it,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's not. It wouldn't be Shenasu Yisrael. These miracles that happened to the Yidden is talking about.
Yeah.
It happened to the majority of Klal Yisrael.
Yeah, but
Now-
now in Israel, there's a lot of nisim happening in the wars.
For sure. But it has to be the majority or entire Klal Yisrael. And there is a question of if it would apply to a one shevet. One would apply if an entire tribe had a miracle. Would this apply to them as well? Or not?
Israel is more than one shevet, but anyhow.
Right. But in the there could be a miracle that would happen to one shevet in the previous
Right.
previous generation, when the Yidden lived in Eretz Yisrael according to their tribes. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to conclude here. I don't know if I'm going to see you, so I want to wish you all a gesunden Sommer, a healthy summer and a successful summer, happy summer. And you'll have Rabbi Wernick and Mr. Shem tomorrow. And this afternoon, Rabbi Rice.